It always starts the same way. She looks at you not as you are, but as who she imagines you might become. You feel it in her eyes, don't you? That flicker of hope, or is it hunger? You think you're being seen, but you're not. You're being measured, assessed, scanned like a blank canvas waiting for her to paint her masterpiece. But the masterpiece isn't you. It never was. And Marcus Aurelius, he warned you. Not with seductive theories or poetic flattery, but with the cold, steady hand of reason. He spoke as a man who bore the weight of an empire while staring unflinchingly into the nature of the human condition. Aurelius devoted his life to the Stoic practice of seeing clearly, stripping away illusion, and accepting the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. And he understood something sobering about human desire, especially in women. He understood that many don't fall in love with a man himself, but with the idea of him. With the fantasy. With the projection. And the most unsettling truth? They often don't even realize they're doing it. You may think she's choosing you, but what she's actually choosing is the version of you that lives in her mind, a character in her private story. And when you stop playing that role, she doesn't change the story. She changes the actor. Aurelius wouldn't have used psychological jargon like animus, but he would have recognized the danger of unchecked inner forces. When a woman's internal image of the ideal man becomes her compass, she risks losing touch with reality. She becomes ruled not by reason, but by impulse cloaked in conviction, quick to moralize, quicker to condemn, and blind to her own contradictions. He wouldn't have sugar-coated this. He would have called it what it is, self-deception. A failure to examine one's own soul. A refusal to take responsibility for the storm within. And men, you fall for it. Because no one taught you to tell illusion from intimacy. You mistake being wanted for being known. You confuse being chosen with being understood. You believe her when she says you're different, not realizing you're just the next man cast in a part she's rehearsed since girlhood. And when the illusion collapses, when you're no longer the hero she imagined, you're left stunned, betrayed, asking what you did wrong. But you didn't do anything wrong. You just stopped fitting the fantasy. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the only path to peace is within. That the chaos of others should not disturb your inner fortress. And here lies the hard truth, most men never build that fortress. They spend their lives chasing validation, outsourcing their worth to the approval of women, of the world, of anything but themselves. But a man who is whole does not beg to be seen. He stands, quiet, unshaken, even when unseen. Self-mastery, as Aurelius taught, is not glamorous. It is war. A quiet war within, against weakness, against cowardice, against the hunger to be loved before you've learned to respect yourself. The Stoics didn't promise admiration. They promised clarity. And clarity hurts. It forces you to see how often you've bartered your identity for attention. How often you've performed instead of lived. Because here's what Aurelius knew. You don't become a man by being chosen. You become a man by choosing yourself. Not through her affection, but through your integrity. Not by being adored, but by being awake. A man who has faced his own inner storms cannot be seduced by fantasies, hers or his own. He is no longer a player in someone else's dream. He is the author of his own life. Marcus Aurelius observed that men willingly enslave themselves to what they believe will bring them peace, status, love, control. But the cost of that slavery is the very soul they're trying to protect. You call it love. He would call it illusion. You tell yourself it's partnership. He would call it a failure to govern the self. You reshape yourself to please her, and forget what you looked like before the mask. And women? They feel this. Far more than you think. The very traits you believe make you lovable, your predictability, your neediness, your constant availability, are often the very ones that drain her desire. Why? Because the feminine, like life itself, is drawn not to safety, but to strength. To the man she cannot fully possess, define, or domesticate. Reveal too much too soon, surrender your spine, hand over your center, and you vanish before her eyes. And yet, here's the trap. You fear being alone more than you fear being false. So you keep acting. Keep pleasing. Keep losing yourself. But Marcus Aurelius warned, if you do not rule yourself, you will be ruled, by others, by passions, by projections. He wrote that death comes to us all. And the real tragedy isn't that we die, but that we never truly live. Most men will never begin this journey. Because it starts with solitude. With silence. With staring into the abyss of your own heart until you can no longer pretend. Until the illusions crack. Until the voice that whispers, "You're nothing without her," finally dies. And it will fight. It will scream that you need her. That no man can survive alone. But Marcus would remind you. You were born alone. You will die alone. And in between, your duty is not to be needed, but to be noble. To choose reason over reaction. Presence over performance. Truth over comfort. That man, the man who stands grounded in his own soul, cannot be used. Cannot be discarded. Cannot be owned. And that, paradoxically, is when women feel most drawn to you, not because you seek them, but because you don't. Not from pride. From peace. And in that peace, you no longer seek to change her, fix her, or save her. You simply see her, clearly. You understand, she must face her own illusions, her own shadows. She must walk her own path. You cannot walk it for her. You can only walk your own, and walk it so truthfully, so steadily, that it reflects reality back to those who dare to look. Most will turn away. But a few, a rare few, will meet your eyes and thank you. And that is the difference between being adored for the performance, and being respected for the man you truly are. Because once you stop performing, something strange happens. People shift around you. They sense the weight of your presence. It unsettles them. Why? Because you no longer play by the rules of need. And Marcus Aurelius, emperor, philosopher, man of relentless introspection, would have smiled at this. Not with arrogance. With quiet recognition. Because when you finally walk away from illusion, from projection, from the desperate hunger to be loved, you don't become distant. You become free. Freedom. It's a word men throw around like a trophy, yet most have never actually touched it. They confuse freedom with indulgence, with rebellion, with doing whatever they want. But that isn't freedom. That's impulse in disguise. True freedom is internal. It's quiet. Still. A kind of sovereignty that no one can give you because no one can take it away. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the essence of real masculinity. Not dominance. Not control. But the discipline to own your own mind. And once you do, the projections of others begin to lose their grip on you. You no longer need to be desired, because you desire to know the truth. You no longer need to be understood, because you understand yourself. You no longer need to be chosen, because you have chosen to live as you are. And this, paradoxically, is what begins to draw people to you. Not because you pander. But because you radiate. Not because you bend. But because you stand. And that standing, that inner uprightness, makes people question themselves. It forces them to face their own masks, their own illusions, their own games. Most will hate you for it. A few will follow. And one or two might even try to love you. Not the version of you they invented in their mind. But you. The man. Marcus Aurelius knew that the most powerful man is not the one who conquers others, but the one who conquers himself. He knew that fame, affection, status, all of it was fleeting, like dust in the wind. He ruled the greatest empire on earth, yet wrote his thoughts to himself as if preparing to lose it all. Because he understood something you must too. The world is not here to complete you. It is here to reveal you. And every relationship, every desire, every rejection, every longing, they are not interruptions. They are invitations. Invitations to go inward. To see what still lives in shadow. To confront what is still afraid. To face the man you were before anyone told you who you were supposed to be. You will stumble. You will regress. You will be tempted to put the mask back on. And that's okay. Growth isn't linear. Truth doesn't arrive all at once. Sometimes it comes in silence. Sometimes through heartbreak. Sometimes through a single sentence in a book you didn't even mean to open. But it always comes. And when it does, you have a choice. To run. Or to stay. To hide behind your performance. Or to live from your core. Marcus wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Simple. Brutal. True. Because once you stop waiting for approval, from women, from the world, from your father's ghost, you begin to see clearly. You begin to act from principle, not persuasion. From purpose, not pressure. From clarity, not confusion. And clarity, above all, is rare. It cuts through charm. Through charisma. Through empty words and cheap attraction. It sees. It endures. It leads. This journey, of becoming the man who does not perform, will cost you. It will cost you the comfort of fitting in. It will cost you the fantasy of being endlessly adored. It will cost you the illusion that love means being understood without ever having to explain yourself. But what you gain is everything. You gain yourself. And no woman, no crowd, no culture can take that from you. So be warned. If you choose this path, you will lose things. You will lose false love. You will lose shallow approval. You will lose the comfort of playing a part that everyone likes. But you will gain one thing that no one else can give you. Your soul. And in the end, that is all that ever mattered. Marcus Aurelius never asked the world to validate his virtue. He simply lived it. You can do the same. And in doing so, you will find that the world begins to reflect something different back at you. Not applause. But recognition. Not fantasy. But reality. Not addiction. But peace. Conclusion, the final step. There is a moment on this path when you will look around and realize, you have become the man you were searching for. Not perfect. Not invincible. But true. You will have scars. You will have regrets. But you will also have something else. Integrity. A backbone that cannot be bought. A mind that cannot be twisted. A heart that, though bruised, remains open. This is the man the world doesn't always celebrate, but desperately needs. The man who chooses truth over comfort. Solitude over performance. Substance over surface. The man who no longer fears being alone, because he no longer fears himself. And when you meet a woman who sees that in you, who meets you where you are without trying to rewrite your lines, you will know something rare has happened. You have not been chosen. You have been seen. And even if that moment never comes, even if you walk this path alone for the rest of your life, you will know this. You did not trade your soul for the illusion of connection. You stood. You chose. You became. And in the end, that is the legacy of the true man. Not a list of conquests. Not a trail of performances. But a life lived from the inside out. As Marcus Aurelius lived. And as you now can. Not because someone gave you permission. But because you finally stopped asking.